Okay, this is a video on the four measures from measure 17 of your Bach prelude from the well-tempered clavier. Okay, it starts off on the supertonic, goes to the dominant, goes to the tonic, and stays on the tonic. That's it. Okay, now, to just simply memorize something, as I keep emphasizing, memorizing is not learning. If you've got this memorized, fine. But if you don't know the characteristic intervals, you don't know the function of the notes, you don't know it. Now, something as simple as this, if you are a more experienced pianist, is not a problem. It's just very obvious. But I'm talking about the younger beginner who's only maybe in his second year or something, who's gone through all of the primary books, but I'm also talking about the older pianist whose only method of learning is memorizing. And when you memorize something without understanding, you are parroting. This analogy comes from Joseph Levine, who mentions that, you know, when you memorize without understanding, he feels like he's teaching like a parrot, not a real musician. That's sort of paraphrased from his comments in his book on the on piano playing. Okay, so let's understand this. What do we have here? Well, we've got a minor third, because now the D is obviously the root, because it is line, 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 line. We're going to duplicate the third up here, which I generally don't like to do, but hey, Bach does it, so I'm not going to object at all. Then we go to the dominant, and then, why is this a dominant? Well, it's a dominant on G. It's got the major third and the minor seventh, and that happens to be a tritone, which is the characteristic interval of the dominant. Okay, then we go to the tonic. So it's basically 2, 5, 1. Very, very basic, very basic. All right. But if we understand what these chords are, that is supertonic, the second note of the C major scale. That is the dominant, the fifth note of the major scale, and that's the tonic, the first note of the scale. But whereas that supertonic, it is minor because you got the minor third, the minor seventh, and this is dominant, and it is two dominants. Let's put it that way. First of all, it's the fifth note of the C major scale. But second of all, it is an identity. Sometimes theory books are usually, they call it a quality of a chord. I call it its identity, because you can identify it by the way you hear it and the way you see it. That is dominant, which has nothing to do with the G as a fifth note of the scale. That's simply coincidental. It happens to be the fifth note of the scale, and it happens to have the major third and the minor seventh, so it's both the fifth note of the scale and it's the dominant quality, and that moves into C major. Well, that's easy enough. E is the major third, so that defines the major quality or the major identity. Then it goes to a dominant here. Oh, theorists do not like this chord. They do not like it to be called a dominant because it's on the tonic. Oh, you can't possibly call it a dominant, right, when it's on the tonic, because you don't have a second definition of the dominant as an oral identity. In other words, how you hear it. I hear that as a dominant. They call it a secondary dominant. I don't hear that as a secondary dominant. Now, it goes to a 4. Now it does, 5 does go to 4 as far as the key circle is concerned. They are completely correct in that. But to call this a secondary dominant, and this And then this is a dominant of 4, and 4 is tonicized. So that you have a dominant tonic relationship. Of course you do. That's not the problem. Let's take another analogy here. Let's say my father was Wayne Hedges, passed away about, I don't know, 15, 20 years ago. Wonderful, wonderful man. I'm the father. I'm the son of the father, Wayne Hedges. But to call me as an identity that I'm the son of my father, well, I'm obviously the son of my father. That's not the issue. The issue is that I have my own identity. I'm called Ralph, and that's that's how I'm called. That's my identifier, let's put it that way. So this is a dominant on the tonic. What do I mean by that? I mean it's a dominant identity with a minor 7th, major 3rd, and it doesn't matter where it's going. I could do into this, not to F. Okay, so, or I could, how about this? Or how about, you see, this is an identity, not a something of something else. It just makes me so disgusted. So that's our 4 measures there. That's it. Improvising on them. Now instead of having 2 and 2, I mean 2 here and 3 here, let's just take 1 because we can duplicate it here. We don't need to. And then we go to a 5 and 1. So 2, 5. One of the most recognizable progressions in all of music. Okay, but let's take the 3rd. The only problem with this, that's an F major chord. We really should add the root. So put the root up into right hand. And then, okay? So, this chord here is an F major, but it's really very related to the D minor 7 chord because first of all, these 3 notes are a D minor triad. These 3 notes are an F major triad. And not until you add another root to it, because that's the root of the F major triad. That's the root of the D minor chord then. Therefore, this is a D minor, and F major are the upper 3 notes of the D minor 7th chord with minor 3rd and minor 7th. And then something like that. Okay? Add the 3rd. If you don't want to, it's okay. Oh, that's really nice. So if you go to the 3rd, let's put the D in. The 3rd of the supertonic directly to the root of the dominant. Wow, that's rather nice. Then you look what you can do. That's pretty. Go ahead and add it. And then you'll be going, that will be the first measure of the next 4 bars. So let's not go beyond this. But the C does resolve to F, which is the subdominant, by the way. So that's tonic to 4, 1 to 4. That's also very obvious. But not 5 of 4 to 4 being tonicized as 1. It makes no sense. Okay. So we got this. We took this. Do that at the piano and see it and understand what the function of every single note is. That's the 3rd of D minor. That's the D minor minor 7 chord. That's the dominant containing the tritone. Okay, now we can do this, of course. Let's take it down to here. 1, 3, 5. Okay, we've got the D minor here. And that's nice. Now we can take it down to C, or we take it up to C. Do that. 1, 3, 5, 7. Oh, this is nice. That's a pretty chord. Okay. Now we got the C. We don't need it, but you know, it's nice to go and add it. Whatever you like, whatever sound you like. I don't like duplicating this B, so I'm going to take the G resolve it into the tone. I don't really care what you do though. Now that's a pretty progression, using the 7th of D minor as your chord, going into the 3rd of the dominant, and then back to the root of the tonic. Let's try it again. To the 3rd of the dominant, and then back to the root of the tonic. Then we can do this. We can go down to the minor 7th of C as a bass tone instead of here. It's exactly the same chord. There's your F major 7 chord, by the way, which we'll take up next. I just love this. You get such marvelous sounds, many progressions. Bach is the beginning of it all, and he said it all musically. Once you understand this basic prelude, because the rest of them are just extremely, well, they're masterpieces. And he has poured every single bit of his knowledge into these 48 preludes and fugues, called the Well-Tempered Clavier. So, but this number 1, he poured in the basic stuff. The stuff you've got to know and understand. And this is why I'm approaching it. This is why I'm spending so much time with it. Okay, back to D minor. Okay, now then we got the 3rd on top here. Let's put the 3rd at the root in here. Let's take it up to the 5th. 1, 3, 5, put the 7th on top. Let's work with just single notes. We don't have to, but that's a good idea to do because we want to go from 2, 5, 1. So that's 2, 5, 1. 1, if you like, or 1, or 1, keeping 1 note in the bass. Okay, now let's go on up here. Well, before we do that, let's do this. That's a 2 supertonic with the 3rd and the lowermost note. D, F, A, C. We got the chord here. And then, now this is an interesting chord if we keep all these notes here, because now we have 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. And then the C. And then however we want to do it here. Okay. We did the 3rd with this particular arrangement here. So we're just going to go through the 1, 3, 5, 7 here. And then F major. If we this way again, we have 1, 3, 5, 7. Nothing wrong with that at all. But just realize what is there, and or name the function of every note. The root, the major 3rd, the 5th, the major 7th, the major 9th, or just simply the 9th. Sometimes I just call it, remember the 5th, just instead of perfect 5th, that's a little bit redundant. You know it's a 5th. That's a 9th. You don't have to say major 9th unless you want to, you know, do it that way. Okay. Okay, there's the 3rd of the D minor chord. Now then, this is an interesting chord. I'm going to do it the regular way. 2 to 5 to 1 to 4 to 1 dominant, then to your 4, 7. Okay. Now then, look what I'm going to do. I'm going to keep these 4 notes here. I'm going to take a chromatic step up to G dominant. Oh, this chord just sends shivers up my back. I love it. So what do we have here? We don't have a third. But 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11. This is an 11 chord. I think 11 chords are some of those gorgeous chords in all of music. When you have the 11th, we generally don't have the third. It's a little thick, it's okay, but can you see it now? 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11. And then you could resolve it, keeping the A as a ninth, or, that's awfully classical, that's awfully beautiful. to a 1 or a 1, 6. 1, 6, I used a figured bass term because that's what I was brought up with. The third, the bass, and then the C dominant, and to the F major. Ooh, how about this? There's your 2 notes together, the major 7th and the root, which also is simply gorgeous. Now, you take your D minor in all its inversions here, or positions, and you take the bass note in all of its notes of the D minor, and you work this. You will find some absolutely gorgeous progressions. You'll also find things that you don't like, even though they're correct. But why isn't it something as nice that you like? Well, maybe it's too far spread apart. Maybe it's too many doublings, like the third here. Well, there's nothing wrong with that, and I like it actually. I was trying to use that as an example. But the third is doubled here. So it didn't work out. Anyway, I try. I hope you're enjoying what we're doing here. And I hope that you can enjoy your improvisations, because this is the essence, the very foundation of improvisation. When you use choices, all right? Use this. I just chose that as a choice. Remember, I kept the D minor here, but as a chord, this is 1, 3, 5, 7, but as a root, it's 5, 7, 9, 11. I'm emphasizing these things so that you really get a handle on what we're talking about and what music is made up of. I want you to enjoy this so much because, well, that's what music is all about, is enjoying the sounds and so on. And when you simply memorize things, there's not one single bit of enjoyment to it. I'm sorry, but maybe there is to you. I don't know. Both my parents were musicians. My mother was harpist with the Denver Symphony. I remember the hours she used to spend practicing for the next concert. And my father was a music professor at Denver University, and he played the violin. He was the violist, actually, in the Denver String Quartet. So he owned both a violin and a viola and played them. But he read the music. Or maybe he memorized, I don't know. But did he, and he was a theorist, by the way, in the Denver University. But everything was theory, 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 not music, music, music. And did he know anything about improvisation? Well, number one, he wasn't a pianist. And piano is sort of the orchestra of the pianist, you might say. It has everything because you've got 10 fingers, you got 10 members of your orchestra then. With a violin, you have 2. You know, double stops and all that sort of thing. So anyway, when they retired, my father sold his violin, my mother sold her harp, and they never played again. I simply cannot imagine it. I'm 86 now. I'll be 87 coming up the end of the month. I love music. I will never be without my piano. I have been without a piano in the past because of moving and that sort of thing, but I have to have a piano. It's just part of me. Anyway, enough of that. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.